So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to quickly make this spinning logo thing. It's especially useful for these kind of lined logos, but I'm sure can be adapted for other types of logo. Okay, into Fusion we go. If you don't know how, as always, come up to the top of the screen, you see Effects Library, make sure that's turned on. Come down to Effects and you've got your Fusion composition here. Just drag it onto the timeline. And we will go into Fusion. So the first thing we're going to need is our logo, and I'm going to bring the logo in using a loader node. So press Shift and Spacebar and type loader. This dialog pops up, so you need to navigate to where your loader is located, and mine is somewhere. And then you can pop that into a viewer and you've got your logo. Thanks to Jabba Gaming for the use of his logo for this. Clearly mine doesn't lend itself to this particular effect. Okay, so once we have our logo, we're going to need, in this case, 4 copies because we've got 4 elements in the logo. So select your loader node, Control or Command and C to copy, and then click away, Control or Command and V to paste 4 copies. Now each of these copies is going to have its own polygon mask, so we'll just bring them in ready, don't connect them at the minute. Like so. Then select your first polygon and come up to your viewer, and all we're going to do is trace around. If you press and hold the Control key and scroll your mouse wheel, you can zoom in a bit, and we're just going to trace around each of the elements like so. You don't need to be particularly close, just so long as you only include the elements that you're working on. Like so. Now if we come back to our node tree and connect this polygon to one of our copies, you'll see that the rest of your logo's disappeared. That's because it's being masked by the polygon. So we now need to put the next image into the viewer so we can see what we're doing. Select polygon 2 and do the same again for the other elements. I'm going to speed this up and I'll mask off each of the elements in turn. Okay, so we now have our 4 elements masked off and we can animate them. To animate them, I'm going to put each one into its own transform node, so select the image file and hit transform from the hotbar here. And just to make it a bit easier to get your head around what's happening, we'll merge these all together. If you click on the grey square, grab the output and then drop it onto the next grey square, it will automatically produce this merge node, and then just repeat it down the line. And if we now pipe this merge node into our media out, you've got your whole logo again. So to animate each element, select the transform node. At the minute the way you want them to end up, so go to whichever frame you want that to happen on. So in my case I'll say 1 second to animate, which is frame 24, and add a keyframe to the center, to the size and to the angle. Now if you go back to frame 0 and just zoom this viewer out a bit so you can see what you're doing, you can grab your element and take it off the screen. You can reduce its size to 0 and you can give it a spin by putting 360 in the angle. Now when you play through, your element comes into place. And again, we're going to repeat the same process for the other 3 elements, so I'll speed that up. And now if we play our animation, all our parts fly in. Now to animate the parts off again, if that's what you want to do, come to where you want them to animate off. So again, I'll go with the second, which is frame 96 for me. Again, with everything where it should be, you do the same. Select your transform node, set a keyframe, go to the end and decide where you want it to go off. So I'll take it down here. Now if you notice, the first keyframe you had to set, but the second keyframe, if you make any changes, will set automatically. And again, I'll speed it up and repeat it for the other elements. Okay, and that is your animated logo. The only other thing I would do, so if you come up to the top of the screen on the right, you'll see the word Spline. If you click that, it will open the Spline Editor. Now what we want to do is find our transform nodes, which are here. So if you press and hold Command and just select them all, you get your transform nodes all in your Spline Editor. Make sure they're all checked. And then if you come to the top right, you see this little double arrowed icon that's zoomed to fit. If you press that, it now brings all your keyframes into view, and you can lasso select them all and hit F for Freddy on your keyboard, and that just flattens the curves out and puts some easing. If you then hit T, you can adjust how much easing. So I'll go to about 50 in and out. Like so. Close your Spline Editor and you're good to go. And that gives you a 5-second animated logo. If you play it through a couple of times, it will cache on the Edit tab, and this will now go over anything you want really. You can also resize it if you want it to be smaller. You can reposition it if you want it to come in at a different point. Like so. Cool, hope you found that useful and helpful. Like, subscribe and hit the notification button, and I'll see you on the next one.